lovely orangey glow of the fire, still giving out a lot of heat. I'm just about to get in my sleeping bag, do this inner tent up, and can you hear the rain on the outside of the tent? Going to go to sleep listening to that. I'll say good night. See you in the morning. Good morning. It's now 7:30 AM on Tuesday morning. I've been awake about an hour or so, just huddling in my sleeping bag, keeping warm. It did get quite cold in the middle of the night, but I put it off as long as possible, and I've had to come out for the inevitable call of nature. You may hear the roar of traffic in the background. I've never really been aware of it that much, because you ride through here and it's just transitory, you know, you just going by on the bike in your own thoughts and probably in the own noise around the air circulation around your head. Never really been aware of how noisy that ring road is. What it must be like to live here, I don't know. And the noise never really died down during the night. Obviously not the volume of the traffic, but there was definitely traffic on it all night, and quite loud as well. So that sort of surprised me. It was lovely going to sleep last night, because those damp logs eventually dried out and burst into life. And just as I thought the fire was going out, I thought I'd better poke it before going to sleep. And as I poked it, it burst into life again. So it was a really hot tent, excuse the pun, as I was in my sleeping bag, drifting off to sleep. And I heard the rain coming down on the tent quite heavy. It's just such a lovely experience. Then I don't know what time it was, middle of the night, I woke up, I was a little bit cold. I'd actually gone to bed without my tracksuit bottoms, without my fleece on, because I was so warm, and then I had to put those on during the middle of the night and put my hat on as well. And I was pretty warm once I tied the baffle round the neck area of my sleeping bag, but it's definitely cold this morning. I've got my Trangia Mini, the meth stove. I'll be putting some hot water on shortly for some coffee, and using my trusty frying pan to fry some sausages I bought. And I've got some baps and some margarine, so I'll be having some sausage sandwiches, or sausage baps rather. Wait till I'm a bit more awake before I do that though. I'm just going to have a wander around actually. I'm seeing loads of cyclists go by already actually. So that's the direction up to Pucklechurch. That's where this line carried on up towards Birmingham and the north. And you only got to continue along this bike track for a few miles, and you actually do get to a bit of old railway as well. It serves a bit of industry, a factory on the outskirts of Yate, I believe. And then it would join the main line at Yate and carry on up to Birmingham. I understand the reason this was closed down, because it just duplicated another line. There's another Bristol to Yate line that's open to this day. So this duplicated one line, and that Bath to Bristol one duplicated another, the GWR line. So it's an example of the early days of the railway, where they really were built by entrepreneurs, and they competed with other railways, and so they really weren't linked, they weren't joined up, so to speak, as a network as we imagine it nowadays. It was lots of small railways which then grouped in the 1920s, I believe, or the 1930s. Then eventually they were nationalised and then privatised, but the original network was lots of small railways, and this was just one example of them. I believe the original Mangotsfield station was up there, when this just was the Bristol to Gloucester and Birmingham line, along there somewhere. They say you can still see the platform. When I rode back from this Audax recently, it finished in North Bristol somewhere, and I actually came down through Mangotsfield, and I made my way down through these woods to get on the Bath to Bristol bike track. And I realised, you know, Mangotsfield's a good way from the station actually. It's up on that hill along a B road, and about half a mile or so that way. It was amazing seeing all those runners last night. I know it's very popular with cyclists, but I didn't realise it was so popular with runners. Again, just see it a different light really. Coming to stay here for the night. When I was in bed last night, just before I drifted off, I got the Wikipedia page up, And I was reading that there was 130 steel posts, and this must have been part of the structure as well, which actually supported a wrought iron and glass roof, a canopy, and the covering of that canopy was 30,000 square feet. That sounds massive to me. It gives you an idea of the size of the station. And now in daylight you can actually get an idea of the shape of it. So there's one side of the triangle heading up towards the point, and there's the other side coming in from an angle. What was in here I don't know. I imagine it must have been more than just an open space with a canopy. But I was so warm last night, I went to bed in just my t-shirt and my pants, no socks even. And I started to get a little bit cold middle of the night, I don't know what time it was. And so I found my fleece and my tracksuit bottoms, and I actually put them in the sleeping bag because they did feel cold outside. And so I put them in the sleeping bag with me. Half an hour later they were nice and warm, so I then manoeuvred myself out and got into them and then got back in the sleeping bag. I had my hat on most of the night to keep my head heat in. And I think it was about 5 o'clock, just after 5, I checked my phone, I saw a light, and then I heard something running around, and it was a dog. And then I heard the guys say the dog's name, I can't remember what it was now, and it was hovering around there. And I heard a thud, and I thought, oh no, it's pulled my bike down, but it didn't. I think it must have just caught on one of the guy ropes there. So my bike is still up this morning. Sky's completely clear and the forecast is dry all day, so I'm guessing once the sun's up it'll be nice and warm. I'm going to go and put the kettle on and then start thinking about frying these sausages. I've bought my breakfast kit, my kitchen in effect, over to this windowsill. So put some hot water on once I've heated up the Trangia. This is this lighter my wife bought me recently, it's ideal for this. There you can go, you see the flames caught. Give that a minute or so to heat up. I've got a fuel bottle with more meths in as well, and then I'll put some hot water on there, coffee cup, and then I may just boil out the frying pan one more time to put some really hot boiling water on before I fry the sausages in it, and then I'll obviously have to put more boiling water in it afterwards to clean it out. Anyway, let that bloom up and then we'll get the hot water on. Here's my station buffet frying pan, which I'm just going to put some boiling water and give one final rinse out before I cook on it again. Fuel, ketchup, table with the rolls, margarine, sausages, washing up bowl, coffee and cup with a sweetener, spatula, and the water on the boil hopefully before long. Just made my second cup of coffee, gave the frying pan another second really soapy wash out after last night, and I got the oil heating up. That's almost ready. Once that starts sizzling, I'll put these sausages on. I've already pricked them. I've buttered the baps because I'm touching uncooked meat. Always wipe my hands down with hand gel. Got ketchup. Have I forgotten anything? I think I've got the kitchen sink. I've certainly got a buffet here anyway. Right, let's get cooking. Well, you don't get a much better sun than that, do you, on a lovely crisp autumn morning. Colours are stunning, sky's blue, and I'm about to have my breakfast. So I've got some more water ready, some more coffee, got my baps all buttered ready, got the washing bowl ready, and it smells and looks like those sausages are nearly ready. Right, cut them in half, get them in the rolls, loads of ketchup on, and then it's breakfast. Wow, that was a fantastic breakfast. I'm on my third cup of coffee, even got a shelflet for my cup. Just boiling out the frying pan with some soapy water. Got some hot water boiled for the rest of my washing up there. Lovely autumn colours, and you can see it's a clear blue sky. It's going to be a nice day. Lots of flooding as I came out yesterday on the embankment of the Bath to Bristol bike track. You could see it just completely, the River Avon had burst its banks. It's like a little mini sea down there, and also rode through some big flooded puddles on the track itself. So I came here last night really because I wanted to just really replicate what had happened to Arnold Ridley 101 years ago, I believe, 1923. He missed his connection apparently and was stuck here for the night, and this is where he got inspiration for the play The Ghost Train. It went on to be filmed 3 times, 1927, 1931 and 1941, starring Arthur Askey. You can actually see that final version on YouTube for nothing. So I kind of wanted to come here and just get a feel for that really, what spending the night on station would be like. But I watched a video recently by an historian I follow actually, and one of his students or subscribers had asked him when was the furthest you could go back in UK history and actually understand what was being said. And his conclusion was not until about the 16th century. Before that you probably wouldn't have made head or tail of what people were saying because of all the different languages and dialects through our sort of checkered history. One of the things he did say, you probably wouldn't even have been able to understand William Shakespeare. I mean, he certainly didn't speak like Laurence Olivier or Kenneth Branagh. He would have probably sounded like what we stereotype as a pirate. And do you know where that stereotype comes from? Again, it's through the historian. One of the early film versions of Treasure Island featured this actor. I think he came from around here, Weston-super-Mare somewhere. And he spoke like that. Jim lad. That's where that all comes from. And they even use that now in Hollywood. So that was a pretty fascinating video. Anyway, I'm going to be packing up shortly. Get the tent down. Have a ride back to Bath. Had my breakfast. I've cleared all the ledge where I had my food and drink. Don't want to leave any mess whatsoever. Done my usual. Put the heavy duty ground sheet out. Start getting things in piles ready to pack, keep everything off the ground. I did say at the beginning of the video I'm going to have to wait to Blackpool to mend a puncture, hopefully. So let me explain. Me and Linda are going to Blackpool next week for 8 days. We're going up for illuminations, Christmas by the sea. There's always something to do there. We like exploring the coast and also the Fylde and Ribble estuaries. It's a great base. And basically after dark this time of year you just go out and it's like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Anyway, when I did that camp recently with the hot tent, I woke up in the morning and my mat had gone down, and I thought, I wonder if I've got a slight puncture in it. And I have, because my elbow was just starting to dig in the ground. So I took it home, inflated it, tried to find the puncture, and I could hear it, but I just could not find it. Me and Linda put it in a bucket of water, we filled the sink up, we could hear it hissing slightly, we just could not locate the hole. And so, to mend it is easy, finding the hole, it's so small, is really, really difficult. So I'm going to take that with me to Blackpool next week, staying in the Travelodge. I'm hoping we'll have a bath there. No, it sounds crazy, but I think that's the only way I'll find the puncture. I have already mended one in this, and it really is easy. I'll show you. It was from a few years ago when I was audaxing and sleeping in bus shelters, and I had a puncture. And you have to find it, and then literally partially deflate the mat, and then just put in this sealant glue. Leave it for 15 minutes, repeat, and do that 3 times. For a small hole, it's almost like a tubeless tire sealant. It just fills the hole. And I thought, gosh, that just looks like a seagull dropping. But it's actually held ever since. If it's a big tear, then you've clearly got to use a patch. But this one, I know is in there somewhere, down in that top third, I think, or the top quarter at least. I think that's so small that'll just be glue as well. But literally me and Linda had several attempts in the sink and outside with a big bucket and bowl of water, and we just couldn't find it. We got drenched, we could hear it, but we just could not find it to locate it. So hence I'm waiting till Blackpool next week. Fingers crossed, otherwise it's 80 quid for a new one. Well, I've packed up almost, got most of my bags done. I've just been drying things on that wall on the ledge. So hot this morning, that sun's really hot. And so I've just aired my tent and my ground sheets out. Looked at the clock, I suddenly realised it's getting on for midday. So I've just rung my wife to let her know. You may hear I bought out a Bluetooth speaker. That's what I'm playing music on. And I actually downloaded some train noises off the internet last night, so that was what I was playing in the tent as I went to sleep. I kept playing it over and over again and cranked the sound up, so what anybody must have thought riding long air, hearing a steam engine tooting and pulling away, I don't know. I'll probably set it to play that as I leave actually. Anyway, one last push, get the bags on the bike, and then I'll be hopefully gone within about 10 minutes or so. Okay, it's 12:15, I'm ready to roll. So I've tied all my rubbish in the bag there to the back of the rack. I'll get rid of that in the first bin I come across. I actually went behind there to get rid of all the loose wood that I didn't use last night, and I saw people have been sitting in there and drinking bottles of beer and fizzy bottles, so I actually picked a few of their bottles up and cans, so I've actually crushed those and put them in there as well. As usual, leave no trace whatsoever, apart from that bit of flat grass that'll kick up in a few days. You'd never know I was here. I'm actually going to head up towards Bristol, towards the end of the platform, and then take a sharp left, heading back what would have been Bristol Temple Meads to Bath Green Park, which is now the Bath to Bristol Cycleway. But I downloaded some audios, MP3 royalty free tracks, and that's what I was playing last night. I was playing the steam train pulling away from the station. I had that really cranked up loud a few times. What anybody going by would have thought hearing that coming from behind these walls, I don't know, but I'm going to play that as I head off. I'm back halfway towards home, and I'm on one of the bridges across the River Avon. This is where it's all flooded still. That's the picnic site I camped at recently. Looking down at it, completely waterlogged still, and there's the jetty. And you can really see the boats are right up, almost at the tops of the anchor posts. That one at the back you can see just to the right of it is at that white tip. I was looking up at those a couple of weeks ago. You can really see and hear the water, look how fast it's running, swirling around one of those bases. It's not as though I've never seen this before, but it just is quite awe-inspiring really. So the course of the river is there, kind of going around that way, but it just spilt over everywhere. I think this would be a good place to finish the video actually. You may see I'm squinting a bit, even though I've got glasses on which darken and for the sun and faces straight into it. It's quite dazzling. One of the reasons I stayed so long packing my tent up, I just hung everything out on that wall to dry, and most of it got dry, and then very last minute when I got out the long grass I changed into dry socks and my cycling shoes so my feet are lovely and warm. Bumped into an old mate of mine coming back along here, him and his friend Richard, who it's nice to meet. Had a good old chinwag. Then a couple of other people have said hello to me going the other way. I'm sorry if you're watching this, I just didn't recognise you. They both called out my name. Anyway, about 4 or 5 miles from home now, quite looking forward to getting home, seeing my darling wife. If you got this far, hope you enjoyed coming along. Bit of an unusual video maybe. Just a quick recap on my randonneur around the years. I started in May, and a couple of weeks ago I did my 7th 200 kilometre DIY. I've now got December and January in front of me. Many people say those are the hardest months. They can be, but not necessarily. So I'm going to try and film one of those, more of a vlog. I'll just try and film and give you some thoughts on the way round without making it too much of a cinematic video, because these days I need to watch the time. Anyway, next week I'm off to Blackpool, so probably talk to you in a couple of weeks time when I do my December 200 for my Round the Year Randonneur series. In the meantime, look out for each other, everybody. See you soon.